Hey everyone, welcome to the Geo Community Call for June 22nd. I hope everyone had a great weekend. We have a lot going on, so excited to jump into everything. Um, First up on the docket, uh, hope that everybody's had a chance to check out our new community rankings. Let's give a little thumbs up or fire emoji or heart if you've done a ranking for most beautiful cities. All right, I'm seeing some popping through. Hell yeah. All right, man. It's been a lot of fun. It's been uh, super cool to see people's rankings. I love the little social share previews. People are posting them out on X. You get to see people's top five. Has been really interesting. A lot of variety across the board. It has not been boring. So this is what the global ranking is looking like right now. We have over 90 people have done it already. I'm super excited about. We actually we meant to extend the time period earlier, and we did not do that, so we just did it today. So it's been lying. It's ending tomorrow. We wanted it to run for a full week. So sorry about that if you saw that it was going to be ending today. So it's these right now they're running for a week. Um so yeah, over 90. Paris in the top spot. We have some Parisians over here, so I guess you guys are feeling pretty good. Uh oh, San Francisco's back up. Man, it's been neck and neck here. I was checking this out an hour ago. San Francisco was in the number four spot, which I didn't feel great about. And I'm like, Amsterdam, come on. And so now San Francisco is back to number three. Um, San Francisco basically just as bikeable as Amsterdam, right? If you don't mind, going all the way up super steep hills, it's basically the same thing. Um, But it's been really cool to see Tokyo at number seven, Kyoto. I voted for this one, Cape Town. It's actually a really great list, and the order makes sense. People have good taste. Um, but a bunch of things that I myself wouldn't have thought of. I'd never heard of Bled before. When you look at this, you're like, this is gorgeous. So discovering new places. And already, I mean, there's something like 200 or so, I think over 200 now cities that have been added. So super cool experiment, actually quite useful. From this, we're able to start building up some basic scores. It's not fully integrated into the search yet, but now when you search for things that are like beautiful cities, maybe some of these have, Bled. Obviously, Bled is a word, and maybe before you would have found other things, but now it'll know that, the city or the town, of Bled is notable, and so it'll rank higher in the search. Um, and we have a nice ranking here. So thanks for everyone who participated, who published your rankings. Really great way to contribute to organizing knowledge. Um, and big shout out to Armando and some of the editors that I know went through and added some beautiful imagery and descriptions, made this whole thing a much better experience. So thank you, Armando. And excited to do more of these. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, it's a great way to express yourself, to share, things that you've discovered that you like. Um, so I love seeing the activity on X when people share their stuff, when they comment on other people's, and it's sprinkling a bit of fun in the space in a time where I think people have been kind of through the ringer a little bit, and then this comes out of left field, and actually, we're just here curating stuff with our friends on the internet. So pretty cool and well done, everyone. So we're gonna have another one that we're gonna announce tomorrow, and we want it to be bigger than the first. Um, and so keep an eye out for that, and we'll go round two. So awesome. Thanks, everyone. Cool. All right. In other organizing knowledge news, Arturas, how have things been going over the last week?
Yeah, let's take a look. There is a bunch of good updates. So let's go ahead and get started with the health space. We have a submission of the week here, which is meditation protocols curated by Sufyan. And here we have the protocols. Um, we have a bunch of properties filled in for each. So we have the types, abbreviation, some of the things that it can help with, the difficulty, recommended frequencies and timing, and categorization. So in terms of categorization, there is quite a bit of extra work done, which we always appreciate, which is the presentation of the entities in different groupings that can be helpful to understand them. So for example, this is organized by potential benefits. So anxiety reduction, cognitive performance, emotional regulation, depression reduction. So good stuff with the meditation protocols here. And then we can switch to the AI space. So here we have a new space forming, Cloud Code. I submitted my membership request as well. It's, I think, a very promising space. For now, we see we have some good work done with organizing the existing news stories of it. So we have prehistory, launch, enterprise, growth, controversies. That's an interesting one. Criticisms, features, and also tags. So this is how are we organizing the content. So this is really good. And we already have a lot of content about Claude Code on AI space. So I think we can work a bit to make sure that that data is shared across the AI space and Claude Code space. But this is definitely a good, interesting thing. And this is kind of, I think, is what we do want. It's to have spaces not just around topics, but Claude Code is a tool, right? And I think there is a lot of value in having people who work on the same tool together, sharing their know-how and knowledge and testing. So I think this is very promising here. Then two new models are dropped in Geo AI space by Catalan. So we have GLM 5.2. So the next generation large language model designed for advanced reasoning, multilingual understanding, and instruction following. We have the overview, the efficiency, benchmark scores, pricing availability, some general information, the context length, documentation, stuff like that. And also, as always, we have some general benchmarks, which is always good to see, so that we can be comparing that on Catalan's app later on. Also some reactions, so tweets about the model. So that's also good to see what people are talking about. Then the Kimi K 2.7 for code. So that's an interesting thing that's been happening. So we have I think the biggest story here is the benchmark scores. That's an interesting thing. I think that can kind of deserve its own conversation, and we should be kind of weighing the claims. But this claim right here, I think, is the most interesting for us to take a deeper look. Benchmark Miki 2.7 code scored 81.1, beating Claude Opus 4.8 score. So I think that's something we can take a look at. We have 3 sources for that. So interesting stuff. We should keep an eye here.
Can I add something?
Yep.
Both GLM and Kimi had similar results with Cloud Opus 4.8 on some benchmarks.
Okay.
So Chinese AI is catching up.
Yeah, it is definitely fascinating in that regard. So it's been a conversation for a while that open weights, they're not as good now, but they are catching up, and that is fascinating and interesting. Would be kind of cool if we could kind of seriously use open weight models for real workflows. I feel like probably not still there, maybe for some specific ones, but we definitely would love to see some more progress. But this is like fascinating. And like, the fact that it's even a claim that it competes on some benchmarks with a sort of best of the current existing models, and then there's a real competition, that's already shows an interesting developments in the field. So then we have a interesting post, DeepMind by Google, securing the future of AI agents. So the post is interesting, and on Geo, we like to claimify some things. So we have the post right here, and we have the claims extracted, the stakes and the strategy, treating agents as insiders, monitoring and mitigation, scaling defense with capability. I have a bunch of different.
One thing I'd just like to ask is, I don't know if this is right now what the AI assistant is doing, but I notice a lot of these are getting shown as tables, where I think, we've kind of found that the bulleted lists are kind of the nicer UI for this sort of thing. Is there a reason? Do we know what's creating the tables instead of the bulleted lists?
This was a test from my side. I wanted to see how it looks like this.
Yeah.
It
Do
was a
we
test.
do we all kind of agree that for this sort of content, the bullet lists read maybe better?
I'd say so. If we don't want to show any properties, which, for example, right here we don't, I think it makes more sense.
Yeah, because then it reads a little bit more like just summarized news,
Yeah, for sure.
a news story.
Okay, so yeah, so we have the post here. Then moving to and just before we go to the politics, in the AI we have a AI workflow, which is PDF course study and comprehension with Claude. So we have the workflow stages: upload PDF and request structured breakdown, study each section with guided Q&A, and comprehension check with quizzes and revision notes. So that's another structured workflow. So that's an interesting one. I think we could maybe benefit from a quite of a longer intro to each workflow entity, maybe even the full prompt, but it's an interesting full structure here.
We do have the prompt.
Okay, yeah, look, I think we could add it here. And also, I would say, so we will be able to check some of the claims here on efficiency, but Microsoft has the PDF sort of switcher to Markdown, and apparently that saves a lot of tokens. So I think that uploading PDFs directly might actually kind of a bit costly, something to think about.
By the way, I
That's
I
one.
think for something like prompts or right, even like markdown files that you would feed into AI, I think we should try to maybe create them as just like a single text block. So I think if that's what the content is for something like that, is you just have right a single block and it's basically the prompt. That's probably, I would think, the right place to put that for certain
Okay.
types, and then we could know. I'm open. It's open for discussion if we think that sometimes you'd want to have additional context or things like that that would make it so you don't want to just use that. But it's a thought. I think at least from a readability standpoint, versus having it, all in the description or having it all in the property, it seems like a natural place to put it. You could say that maybe it should have like a title almost that labels it or something like that, that's like marked down or something. But I don't know. I think you could probably just put it right in the content, and I wonder if that could be an interesting pattern to try out.
Okay, let's try it out.
Cool. Do we want to have Armando demo the US politics stuff?
It was maybe
Armando?
Hey, yeah, I don't know if we've seen it yet as a group. We did add it to the homepage. So, I was looking at a few spaces that I thought should really be there, and it was already starting to look quite interesting. So I just added it there. But yeah, it would be amazing if you want to maybe give us a walkthrough.
the highlight from this week about regarding US politics are from Dan. We share the ownership of the space, so maybe he can introduce himself. Just a quick note, just a quick question about it. Is it possible to add as a subtopic Like in US politics, we have midterm as a subspace. In the same spot, can we add a topic without having him being a space? For example, could we add campaign finance as a subspace topic for the US politics? Or we need to claim it as a space?
Um, Good question. I mean, you can organize the topics within US politics however you want. One thing that I don't know how explicit we've made it in this group yet, but is a change that we implemented is it's how you manage the subtopics and
Mm-hmm.
or specifically subspaces. We're actually about to deploy a new set of contracts, smart contracts that actually implement this in a new way. And so right now we're a little bit like in between in that transition. But I think this is why you're asking, but just to get everyone on the same page. The thought process is that we're going to be organizing topics and subtopics in the root space, and we might delegate to a set of spaces that can basically organize the topic hierarchy. That's going to be especially important as we roll out the protocol itself um, to try to make it so that as there's resources that are getting distributed out through these spaces that we're able to kind of keep things, somewhat organized from a topology standpoint and then allow for competition kind of within that. So this would actually be a great discussion to have as a group. We could do a little of that today if there's time by the end of the call. But anyways, Armando, just to answer your question, happy to do that. If we think that's a subtopic that we want to add to US politics, yeah, we can add that in the root space.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I could maybe leave some time, and if Armando or Dan wants to showcase the work here, we can do that. The highlight is with the campaign finance. So I can move it to later.
Well, we could do it now. Let's see. Dan, are you would you want to
Yeah,
give a walkthrough?
yeah, I'm happy to demo this. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so with campaign finance, just in the process of sharing my screen. This is a starting point. Campaign finance is heavily important in the US politics space. And for starters, mapped out the top Republican donors and top Democratic donors. Additionally, we'll add top super PACs and top funded politicians, and then we can really grow on top of that. And then also listing out news stories could be interesting as well that link
Sweet.
to, yeah.
Do you want to switch into browse mode?
Yeah, give me a second. There we
Great.
go.
Mhm.
So one thing, this is an experiment too. So for top Republican donors, we have their name, description, and then for capturing, so my goal here was to capture for election cycle 2026, the top donors, and then we have the amount and then it's sourced below the fec.gov. And just for readability, it's not the most clear. I don't know if it makes more sense right now to just display the name and description as with the property names. It's a little more clear, but without it, it's a little less. So could use some feedback there. So we have top Republican donors, and then go back and top Democratic donors. And just a nice little starting point to build upon, and look forward to continuing to build this out further and look forward to hearing feedback from others too.
Nice, interesting. And then what's in the rest of the US politics space?
Let's take a look. So we have US midterm elections. There are a few important runoffs last week. One of them was in the Georgia primaries. So we can, I guess, take a look there. This is mainly organizing news And then we have key claims that are pulled from the news stories. So we have latest news that gathers all the latest news on the Georgia primaries. And then it's more dialed in with Georgia Democratic primary. Then we have Georgia Republican primary. And then if we scroll down, you can see the specific runoffs organized as well. And then we have campaign finance. That one, yeah, just a news grouping there. And then we have key politicians. These are a couple key politicians right now in the upcoming election.
All right. And what is kind of the process for publishing this? Do we feel like we have a good system and that it's realistic that we could keep this really up to date? Or, what do we think it would take, I guess, to be organizing all of the key races and keeping everything updated?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the earlier that we identified priorities would be helpful with just developing strong workflows, making sure everything's published on time instead of it being something that's just put together a few days leading up to the elections. We do have a bit of time before November now, so if any uh, other key elections are coming up, let's take a look.
Adam, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a small comment and question. I've actually been organizing some data that I think could be interesting for this space around. It's called a corruption map that somebody did, and it was actually super interesting. It shows all the different politicians from all sides of the country, and how much donations they receive, how much like stock they've invested in which companies and stuff. It's quite an interesting map, and all that data now is in Geo in a space that I made for it. Um, the other thing, so I can send you the space and we can see Dan if we can get it up there. One of the things that we discussed in the past was giving people the ability to kind of run through a small quiz, and you could ask people, you could show somebody like two policies and ask them like, which one do you agree with the most? And after, answering maybe 10 of these questions or whatever, you could give somebody's political compass that I think would actually potentially be in some cases quite different to what people think they would vote for. The only thing that we would need to be able to do this is like very doable. You can vibe code this with Claude Code now in like a couple of hours. The only thing that we would need as data on Geo to be able to do something like that would be like mapping different policies to specific politicians. Just wondering if this is still something that we think could be, interesting, and if we're planning to actually have those policies mapped to politicians, and if it makes sense to do that during the midterm elections, because a small quiz like that is super easy to do. I'd be happy to like code that.
Yeah, 100%. I think that would be fascinating and a great focus area. So we actually took quite like 2 to 3 months, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, to organize U.S. politics, and we basically did that at the time. We mapped all of the different positions for all of the key like issues, for all the top politicians. It was a really cool data set. We're going to be working on importing for the editors that have been around for a few years. They've done some great work over the years, and it's sitting out in a database somewhere waiting to get
Mm.
imported. So thank you guys for the patience there. And I think actually in the next week or two, we're going to start bringing some of this content back. Yeah, you guys already did a lot of great work, so it's coming back. But I think U.S. politics is going to be one of, the most interesting spaces, I think, throughout the rest of the year and into next year. The midterm elections are going to be very controversial. The world is, at a changing point where it feels like a lot of things are changing. The U.S. is obviously continues to be a country that does have, an impact on the world stage. And so if we as a group can do a good job of organizing this stuff, I think it'll be time really well spent. So very much love for us to dive deeper in these areas. Armando?
Could I ask you, what do you think about integrating Polymarket and Kalshi uh, odds for the US midterms? For example,
Yeah, it's an
Polymarket.
interesting question. So there's different things that we could do here. Okay, so eventually we do want things that are coming from on-chain to be able to populate the knowledge graph, right? Obviously, subgraphs were a way to do that. Now there's, these other kind of indexing things. Um, we are, we have rolled out system entities, and the system entities feature is basically a way to kind of do this, right? Where you have data that originates from the chain. There's some
Mhm.
event that is emitted on chain. It creates an entity that is basically readable but not editable. And that is essentially what we would want here, right? I am pretty sure. Now, I don't know about Kalshi. A lot of the Kalshi stuff is off chain. I think much more of the Polymarket stuff is on chain. And we really could have entities in the knowledge graph, right, that are system entities that are produced by Polymarket, and that would basically update in real time. So it is something we could look into. I think that there are two interesting integration points with prediction markets, I think. One is that, which, yeah, we could surface that in Geo. The other is to kind of look at what are the most disputed, areas in the prediction markets, like what are the top markets, what are the biggest questions. There's been a lot of interesting things that have happened recently where there's an increased awareness in the issues with resolving some of these markets, right? And for example, Polymarket uses UMA for the market resolution, right, as its oracle, and plenty of questions on who the voters are for that oracle. Are they doing a good job of resolving, especially some of these contentious disputes? And you could make a case that something like Geo, even though, I mean, in some ways it could still be attacked, especially at this stage, but that maybe there are things that we could do that could help bring legitimacy to a process there to resolving disputes and acting like an oracle in some of these controversial markets would be a really interesting area to explore. Um, so good question. I don't know if this is something that we would do in the next month or two to prioritize, but maybe we should look into it. And it's a good question. As we think about our midterm coverage, what it would look like to do a good job to really be able to be part of that discussion, at a national and international level around the midterms. So yeah, very much open to continuing to discuss that. Do you want to share your screen and walk through what you just shared on the midterm stuff? And maybe if you want to share a few more thoughts on it.
Like in this case, you have Polymarket, which is running a specific page for the odds about midterm predictions. So you have like the most trending states, the flipping one, as for House and Senate, and like the big question around the balance of power between Democrats and Senate. My first idea was to plug the API. You have an API for Polymarket, which is open. So the idea was to plug it and use crawlers and cron job to keep the data updated on Geo like once a day, a couple of times a day. But if it could be integrated directly, it would be better, obviously.
Yeah. So great start to this conversation. We could definitely go deeper on this, but it's a good question to start raising and we can start thinking about.
Mm. This is maybe something that Kevin could help us with. Other Kevin, sorry, not you, Kevin, in the call, but we have somebody that wants to work on Polymarket data, and he's already plugged into their API and knows how to work with it. And this could be a good first project for him to put it on Geo. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, that is super interesting. Cool. All right. Dan, was there anything else to show on US politics before Handing it back to Arturas.
Yeah, I think that's mainly it right now. And yeah, lots to be built out yet.
Cool. Yeah. So anyone that wants to get involved in US politics, organizing stuff, especially around the midterms, super interesting space, and would love to see more activity there. Awesome. Great work, guys. All right,
Okay.
Arturas, you wanna keep
So
going?
back to regular programming. So we have the on the global affairs space, we have the Strait of Hormuz energy crisis. So the key crisis and key impacts. So we have some general top level claims here. The IEA described the Strait of Hormuz as one of the world's most critical oil transit checkpoints. So you can say that again based on the current situation. And we have some of the general situation of like how the play of the Strait of Hormuz, how does it play into the current conflict and what's the impact here? Then we have quotes that are taken from different sources. So, for example, I checked some of these quotes. It comes from the fact sheet from the website here. Fully sourced overview, and we have the additional organizations. So we have like a summary. So these are the general claims. We have the timeline of how things are developing, checkpoints and physical flow. So information about that oil checkpoint, LNG checkpoint, shipping traffic, and interestingly and with appreciation, I can say that we also have quotes that support the claim, not just the source, which is a one level deeper. So we have the quote, and the quote comes from a source. So that just gives additional detail on how the claim is exactly being supported. So a good full overview of the Strait of Hormuz, the energy crisis. Then we have the G7 Summit 2026, the claims, attending leaders, some properties. So we have the organizers, the speakers, the starting and end, the timeline. So these are the news stories in order and organized about the different aspects of the summit, and the summary. So also like a full proper overview of the entire event. So I feel like the content volume is like really improving. Maybe some additional or improvements in the workflows are starting to add up, but we're getting like these fleshed out entities with a lot of content about them. And then, so this is an interesting one. We have a US-Iran conflict parties explorer by Ibrahim. So that's an interesting one. So we have conflict events as entities on Geo that we can filter by different aspects. So, for example,
Is this something that we should have Ibrahim demo?
is Ibrahim by chance here?
I always prefer to let people demo their own apps.
For sure. Like Ahmed, do you think we have an ability to do the demo here?
He's with us on the call, but I know that he has some technical issues with poor internet connection.
Okay, yeah. So if it's better for you to demo, I think that's fine. Okay, just I like to give people the option if they want to.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure. And definitely, like that's, I think, a default. If any curator who has the highlight, we would want them to do the demos if they're able to. For this call today specifically, let's make sure we have some time for Kevin. He has some demo from his side. So we have
I just wanted to say that we had initially like 61 events, but we have updated until June because the last 2 months were not updated, but we updated that during last week. So now we have it until like June 18 or June 15. So it is up to date.
Amazing.
And all of the
Ahmed,
data, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, all of this data is already on Geo. Like it's not pulled
Yeah, I
from
checked. Here it
any
is,
document.
directly from the
Yeah,
app.
yeah,
Amazing.
exactly.
Are those points like geolocations?
Seems so. I think it shows that which country
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
we
the
do have the
concept is relevant
native,
to.
yeah, points and geolocations on Geo. Awesome. This is
yeah.
incredible. By the way,
Yeah, and
Ahmed,
all of these countries, by the way, are in the places, most of them are in the places space on Geo.
sweet. Hell yeah. All right, composability for the win. Ahmed, if you have time this week, would be awesome to actually like record a video, walk through this, maybe post it if you're involved with this as well.
Yeah, yeah, I have been working with him closely for the last few weeks to update the content because initially the bounty he has done that bounty and concluded like a month ago, so it was not updated. So we were working on updating the events.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, if you have some time this week, we love the video content. Always great to get a recorded walkthrough posted on X. So
Yeah,
would love to see that if you have some time this week.
yeah,
Okay, Arturas, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off here.
Okay, and by the way, definitely like a great app, like crazy. Like the fact that we can browse like actual geo content and with the filtering, and we can check for like different locations and see what's happening with different topics, actors, everything. Like this is just fascinating stuff. Okay, so thank you for that. And then moving to crypto. So we have privacy tokens. We have one privacy advocate, Catalina, our editor. So I think we know where this is coming from, maybe. So we have the privacy tokens organized right here, leading privacy tokens, each on Geo as a token with its privacy mechanism, symbol, website, and logo. And the grouping is by market capitalization and grouped by privacy mechanism. So we have a bunch confidential transactions, mixers and chill pools, network IPs, stuff like that. So looking interesting. If we click on any of these, we have is a governance token, yes, no symbol, and category, and that mechanism. So some good stuff. Good addition of the data right here. We have crypto wallets, which is actually a submission of the week in the crypto space. That's by Ahmed Anwar. So congratulations for being the curator of the week. So we have the hardware. So we have the most used crypto wallets. Each on Geo is the wallet categorized, and grouping is by reported users, installed base, and grouped by wallet category: hardware, software, and smart contracts. Each category full. And if we click on any of the wallet, App Store URL available on mobile, browser extension, the URL, categories, chains, some links, Discord docs, funding rounds. So a bunch of information here, and it's some of the information might be already existing. It's a composable data, but the highlight here is the wallets. The page here is fully organized. So yeah, looking good here. And then we have the Bitcoin treasury companies. So the large public Bitcoin treasury companies, each on Geo as a project, and grouping is by grouped by treasury category. Structure first, vehicles, Bitcoin miners, crypto native. So we have the treasury first vehicles here, Bitcoin miners, crypto native financials, public corporate. GameStop is here, an interesting one. Okay, so, and finally, I want to show like my personal favorite of the week. Mo did some interesting work here. I asked if he wanted to demo, but he's not by the computer. Like maybe he can add like a comment as we demo. But if anyone heard, there's like this killer post on Twitter about the store of value currencies. So I think some of the editors might have been inspired, and we have the store of value topic on Geo now. So we have the candidates, the list right here. Like we can have a discussion if something should be here or maybe someone's missing. And personally, my favorite, the debate. So let's take a look. Let's say if there's better store of value than Bitcoin, yes, contenders exist. The Ultras on Money narrative positioned ETH as a store of value. Zcash is promoted as a digital gold plus due to its features that shield transactions from government oversight, etc. No, Bitcoin remains the best. Bitcoin's adoption has been aided by its simple and consistent narrative as a digital gold. So interesting stuff. So we have a claims organized as positions, like interesting stuff. And I think we can actually maybe use the next upcoming community call and actually have this debate. So if anyone can claim their position right here, please claim it and come prepared for that, and we'll see how it will do on the call. We should end
I
it up
love
with
it.
some rearrangements done.
It's a good discussion to have. And it's funny because usually when people talk about this stuff, which, they've stopped talking about recently because they've been so focused on the revenue meta, but usually it comes from, these tribal corners, where, people aren't exactly using their critical thinking skills, and it's, tribalism. So I love seeing things structured and organized, and now I guess even debated about some pretty consequential questions. Love it.
So yeah, so this concludes the highlights of the week, and also let's give some time today to Kevin to do some work from his end as well. That he's done some cool stuff the last week.
All right, thanks, Arturas. Let's do it. Kevin, how are you doing? Let's see. I think you might be on mute.
Here I am. Hi, sorry about
There we
that.
go.
There we
Hey.
go. I'm going to share my screen here. While I'm doing that, I'll shout out to GLM 5.2 because I tried that this weekend, and man, I'm going to talk to Catalan a lot, I think now. Seem like you know a lot about this stuff, but I used a Hermes agent yesterday with a GLM 5.2, and it's exciting. So trying to I really want to keep things local. And that's hard to do right now, but yeah, try that if you haven't. All right, so a couple things that we updated here. I have a lot going on because I was trying to kind of update this and make it look pretty for you. Get this out of the way. So I launched a couple bounties over the weekend here, which is really exciting. So we've done a lot in pharma to kind of map things out and add entities and whatnot. So now we're just working to try to bring folks in a structured way so they can kind of help participate. So two things that I worked on this weekend were bounties that I think will be, high impact for structuring the data that's already in there. So I put a video out for the first one, but what I really want to call out here, I think, with these first bounties is the way that they've hopefully been made approachable to the end user. The first bounty that I put on Twitter that I kind of want to really highlight the most is ATC classification mapping. So I'll go over to my little browser here and I can give you an example of what that looks like. Why this will be powerful is right now we have all of these entities within the space, but there's no grouping. So as like an end user of these products for a clinical decision support tool, a doctor, a pharmacist, I would get a call in a chaotic environment and it would be like, hey, we got culture sensitivity back for the bacteria. What's a good antibiotic we can use? And I know off the top of my head what a cephalosporin is. I know the different first lines, the first generations, but I can't remember 10 drugs in that class. So in that moment, I would use a tool like this to kind of see everything that's within a certain realm. And then that kind of helps me make decisions. And then from there, I can kind of drill down on dosing for a specific drug. But starting at a high level, like the highest level ATC code that just lists anti-infectives is really powerful because then you can drill down and there's going to be hundreds of these. This is just for examples. So I pulled a couple things in that are applicable, but there'd be hundreds of anti-infectives for systemic use. Every antibiotic would be on here. Antivirals would be contained in here. But if I got a question about a specific bacteria, then I'd want to drill down a little bit more. And perhaps I'm looking for something that's a beta-lactam because I know this infection is treated best by a beta-lactam. We drill down another level further, and there's 5 levels in total. at the end, we get these really granular descriptions where, and again, first generation would have probably like 10 entries. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. I think as a pharmacist or a doctor, trying to memorize every little thing's impossible. You want to kind of stay loose and be able to think. This is why these tools are so great because you need an answer quickly. You're doing multiple things. And even as an end user that's not a doctor or a pharmacist, maybe you have a question about something and you want to drill down and see everything that's related to a topic. From a knowledge graph perspective, this simple update, I think, would release a lot of different things. So you see here, you can take it from a level of anatomy, cardiovascular system, and you can drill it all the way down now to statins that have this very specific code. And you can query now our space and be like, give me all the statins and give me all the dosing for the statins. So it's to me the one of the most powerful things we can do early on here. So I wanted to call that out because I think folks that are familiar with grouping these things, this might be very approachable to them. But the other thing I kind of wanted to call out with both of these bounties is I took some time this weekend to do the ontology work myself. So when I first came in here, I had 1,000 ideas and I had done a lot of work before we even started, just trying to get myself ready. And that created a lot of friction. I hit the ontology barrier, the Geo browser, like getting things into the Geo browser. You're working with multiple people, so it has to kind of fit. It's not just, fast and loose like I was doing prior to Geo browser. So to kind of help new people as they come in, we've created a couple examples here. So when you look at the bounty, each of these are going to link off to an example that I'm very happy to get on a call and walk through with anyone too. But I actually added the ontological additions that I think will help us here. So in this case, this is the first bounty. I added FDA indications to kind of help somebody kind of see how this might look visually, to kind of show you what I was talking about with the ATC bounty, because that's more topical. And I think this is the funnest part too, kind of designing this stuff. But I created a couple entities in pharma, ATC classification, and then some properties that are related to it. And it's all kind of a small little example within pharma now. So that link will take you to the example I created, and you can kind of click around. You can look at the different properties, see how they're relational versus, we have a couple URL properties that you can click and it'll take you back to the actual browser. So you get a feel for maybe the different types of properties and then the way that things might interwork. And so I would encourage you, if you're interested in this stuff, to just kind of click around. It might jog your memory, get some things loose. But the last spiel I'll kind of give here is if you take these bounties on, they're made to be modular. So these can be scaled because we're trying to take a little piece of the pharma space and just get a good feel for it. You could own one of these processes essentially and make it your own. And it's going to be very approachable early on. So you're not going to have to do the ontology work, the adding of entities. You can certainly manipulate if you want, but I've done a lot of that work already for you. So it's really going to be you doing the research and just pulling the info into UI, and you can use the actual wizard, the chat bot you can use to do a lot of this stuff. But it hopefully makes it a little bit clearer for you. So the first two bounties here, hopefully high impact, get some folks involved. And I'm really keen to just work with people and try to get them involved, because I think once you get clicking around and adding stuff, you're going to have some other ideas that are going to be useful to our space. So the last thing I'll say is I'm going to post again one of these summaries. I'm going to post about the other bounty today on Twitter as well. And I'll try to drop a link in my Twitter profile, but maybe I can put it in my personal space too, that links off to these high-level descriptions. I just kind of like putting a one-pager together to kind of explain, the high-level detail of the bounty. But I have very granular guides, and I'm really keen to kind of walk people through anything. So this has been really cool to do. And I hope once we get things going here, it kind of puts us in the right direction. I think everything's kind of working really well right now.
Well done. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, super exciting and great work. DeVille, I wonder if maybe we could just even take that clip of that demo just now and even just send it out to everybody that's come in that's got either a pharma background or a health background. It could be nice to for people who weren't on the call today to see that we could send out some messages and do some recruitment. But really cool to see that structure. I think that'll make it really easy for people to jump in who maybe have been waiting to do so. And awesome seeing folks, take initiative and really stepping up into that editor role. So yeah, great job, Kevin. Thank you. All right, DeVille, would you like to give an update on how things are looking with curator program?
Sure. I have some fun shout outs. You'll see some names.
And do you know if there might be something on your audio side? I don't know if you have a mic with the volume.
Sorry.
Is there any kind of mic volume slider anywhere?
Is this better?
No, it's a little quiet.
Okay, I'll just speak louder for now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to congratulate some of our curators who are doing a wonderful job this week earning points. I've made a little bit of a leaderboard, giving a shout out to our top earners just bounty-wise this week. So overall, this week, our curators earned 11,000 points, which I think is a massive amount, showing how active people are. So props to everybody. And top earners are Kevin. He has already introduced himself, so I don't think we'll stop there. And Jamal, I think a great example of not needing a huge bounty to make an impact. So Jamal worked on several bounties in AI and crypto space, and we can see that he's made it to the leaderboard within 1 week, which is awesome. And then Assad, Mikhail, and Lavan, crypto and AI contributions. Great job, everybody. And then I'd also like to give a shout out to our top submissions of the week. Arturas already went through these. So just a quick hi to Farida, Ishita, Adam, Sufyan, and Ahmed for working on these. Also very much appreciated. And then a quick promo on our bounties for Geo News. So hopefully everybody has already had a chance to enjoy the app. I'd like to remind everyone that there's a way to contribute to it by publishing some articles on Geo. Give us a shout out on the news Discord and we'll see if we can get you featured on the news app. So you're not only just on Geo browser, but you're also on the consumer app, which I think is totally awesome.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Davila. Yeah, really great to see the update there. And great work, all the curators who've been publishing things all throughout the week. So some great work demo today. Excited by all the great work. I think so. I've introduced that we are going to be looking towards starting our season 2 of the curator program. Update. We're going to be making a few tweaks to how we run the curator program for that. And we're doing some development work now to get ready for that. So I think the latest is that we're probably looking at another 2 weeks to kind of wrap things up here for season 1. We're going to do some stuff to make that fun and to reward people who have been in our initial cohort. So we'll share some more updates around that. But in the meantime, one of the big pushes that we're doing is the community ranked list. I think it's a really fun thing to get out on the internet. And so, please continue to organize the stuff that you've been working on in the existing spaces. That continues to be a great place to focus. In addition, we want to start doing, bringing a little bit of focus to things specifically around curating, the news stories, tweets, maybe papers, basically sources related to a set of curated topics. So keep an eye out for, we'll be sharing some things around some topics that we want to start to, grow into, close to where we already are, but keep an eye out for that. And then the curated ranked lists. So we'll keep, sharing out, our curated lists, get some fun discussion happening on Twitter. If you have any video walkthroughs of work that you're doing, we love seeing those recordings posted out. And so plenty of fun things across the ecosystem to be working on and sharing out. So thanks everybody for the creativity, for the good vibes and energy that you bring to this ecosystem, and fun hanging out with all the friends on the internet. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it a lot, and have a really great week.
Have a great week, everybody. Thank you.